so far to the left that they have no possibility of winning. Virtually guarantee that Governor Tim Pawlenty is going to win the governorship again. We may well, in the process, pick up 3 House seats. Minnesota is a good example of what's going on. John Cox out in California today, I think, is going to get into the runoff against the lieutenant governor. And John Cox is going to make a huge difference as the Republican nominee because the California Democrats have raised the gasoline tax. It's almost $5 a gallon in parts of California now. And they have, Gavin Newsom, the Democrat, is campaigning on a promise to raise your income tax, raise property taxes, and dramatically increase the cost of government in a state which already has the highest cost of living in the country. So I think John Cox, by the way, if he does make it, as I think he will, that probably increases Republican turnout this fall in California by maybe as much as 23%, that virtually guarantees the Democrats can't pick up seats in California, and we may actually pick up 2 or 3 House seats out there. So everywhere I look, I think what you're going to get is a red wave, not a blue wave, and I think things are continuing to build. There's an article today, one last thing. For the first time I can remember, there are more job vacancies than there are people looking for work. That is astonishing.
Can I just say, I mean, this 500 days has been maybe the most fascinating 500 days of any presidency, and of course, the cloud that the Democrats and the media, they're now in a position, this to me is the most damning position for them to be in, and that is that with the economy now turned around, record low unemployment in 14 states, record low unemployment for women, Hispanic Americans, African Americans, you see regulation is literally, has now been totally eliminated, and we're now incentivizing businesses to come back, and people have more money back in their pocket. Now, the only way that I see the Democrats can win is if they somehow convince the American people that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians, and he did not, or that somehow he's bad for the country, and now the polls out today show 70% of Americans think the economy's good because of him.
Yeah, look, I think that their problem gets bigger and bigger. And I would say that as somebody who's been active in the Republican Party for a very, very long time, I worry as much about the Republicans as about the Democrats, because the Republicans are historically just bad politicians, and they don't get it. If Republicans have the guts to go out and appeal to every American of every background, when you're in a situation where you have the lowest black unemployment in American history, every Republican candidate should be in the black community saying, look, isn't it better to have people with jobs rather than on food stamps? Isn't it better to have a chance to rise because you get that first job, then you get promoted, then you get another job, then one day you open up your own small business? That's what America is all about. And we have a chance. Trump is giving us a chance to have a head-on argument between socialism, the people on the left who can't explain Venezuela, can't explain the Soviet Union, can't explain Cuba, but have these fantasy ideas that if only we had big enough government, and this is what Gavin Newsom's going to be a great experiment on. He's running on a government takeover of health care in California, which would bankrupt the state. But we ought to be doing this across the whole country.
So you would say to Donald Trump, one of the states you really ought to be campaigning in is California this midterm election season.
Absolutely. I believe, and I know people will say I'm crazy, but you and I have been down this road together over the years as good friends. I believe that the Democrats reached tilt in California. They passed a state sanctuary law which in effect would allow MS-13 to continue to rape and kill and murder and torture people in California. They passed a gasoline tax increase that was massive when they already have the most expensive gasoline in the country. They have a candidate for governor who spent the last 8 years in Sacramento, and he wants to says openly, he's campaigning on a promise of raising their taxes. And I think John Cox, with enough resources, enough help, has a chance to do to California what Trump has done to the country, and to do it exactly the same way, to go out to all of California, get every single person who's fed up with it. 65% of Californians in a poll last week said California was now too expensive. And if Cox can become the guy who wants to lower the cost of living in California, while Newsom's the guy who wants to raise your taxes, I think you could see a Republican governorship, and with it, we virtually guarantee enough House members get elected that Kevin McCarthy probably becomes.
You know, for those that might doubt that this could happen in California, I would just only point out states like New Jersey and Christie Todd Whitman, and then later Chris Christie, and New York Governor Pataki, and there are examples after example where really deeply blue states have had it. They just get fed up. And I think the very issues you're describing here could create a condition in California where, you know, look, Arnold Schwarzenegger won and Pete Wilson had won. I mean, it's going back a ways, but
right.
And I think
and look at what's happening in the country. The most popular governor in America today is Charlie Baker, who's a Republican in Massachusetts. Governor Hogan's almost certainly going to get reelected in Maryland. If people believe you're trying to improve their lives and people believe you're honest, I mean, just the act of not being corrupt is such a big advantage over Democrats in some states that you really have some breakthrough opportunities. And by the way, you mentioned New Jersey. One of the reasons I think there's going to be a red wave, not a blue wave, is I think we're going to beat Menendez in New Jersey after all of his ethics problems. You can't be losing New Jersey and have any hope of Schumer picking up a majority in the Senate. So we're going to gain seats in the Senate. I keep saying to people, you're going to have a red wave in the Senate. You're probably going to have a red wave for governor. And I think we have a fair chance that we're going to keep the House and maybe even at the margins do better than people expect. So show me where the blue wave is going to come.
Well, I mean, that's such a good point. Now, with that said, the House to me is very, very key and crucial. And I think the message is simple. I think you take the Trump success story and you take the economic success story. I would add two things between now and November, though. I would fund the border wall. And the second thing that I would do is I'd take another crack at repeal and replacing. And I think Republicans, you know, they've been hesitant to follow up on that one big promise, although we did get rid of the individual mandate as part of the tax package. But I think, you know, basically this has been the force of Trump, not the force of Republicans, especially in the Senate.
Oh, I think that's right. But I guess I'm a little more careful than you are about all this. I do think he has to keep pushing on the wall, and he will. And he's going to keep, you know, they began opening the first new section in San Diego this last week. You know, and I know, as you do, how really determined he can be. And he's gradually going to win that fight. I think we are, Secretary Azar is doing a great job at Health and Human Services, and we're gradually going to keep taking apart Obamacare and replacing it with a much more market-oriented and choice-oriented system that'll be better for people. And I think that these are important steps in the right direction. But I also think this central question is really simple. Would you like to have more jobs, or would you like to have an impeachment? Would you like to have a Congress that works to have an even better economy, or would you like to have a Congress that does nothing all the time except fight Trump? Do you really agree with Nancy Pelosi that we need to raise taxes? I mean, I think, you know, we have a chance here to win a decisive election in ways that would have been unthinkable 6 months ago.
Well, it was a 17-point deficit. In one poll, even went to a 6-point plus advantage in terms of the generic ballot polling. I know that you know this better than anybody. There's very few people. Maybe Mike Barone understands the whole history of every county in every single part of the United States, from Cuyahoga County to Hamilton County and everything in between, and certainly knows all the counties in Florida, North Carolina, and all these swing states. But I do remember distinctly sitting in a meeting with you and Joe Gaylord years ago before you became Speaker. And you guys went through district by district by district. So the fact that you think that California should take on such incredible importance needs to be paid attention to.
No, I think so, and I think they will pay attention to it because, you know, look, I wouldn't be saying this if it was just a typical environment. But when I saw them pass the gas tax increase, and I saw the survey that said 2 out of every 3 Californians now think the state's too expensive, I could feel, much as I did back in 1978 with Prop 13, there are moments when you can feel this stuff coming together. And I just think that John Cox has a great chance in California to run a much more successful race. You mark my word, tomorrow morning the elite media will all be writing him off, saying he doesn't have a chance. And just remember, these are the same people who wrote off Donald Trump.
Well, I know, and that's what makes this such an amazing election. Newt Gingrich is with us, and he's on his official book tour. It's